Hi guys, this is Spazzy D from Source Gaming, your article lead here. Today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Relax Alax. Say hello.
I thought it was Wolfman. No. Hi guys, what's going on?
And we have a not special guest because he's here all the time in Wolfman.
Thank you, I guess. Sure, thank you.
Just a regular guest. We are going to talk a little bit more like how everyone's talking a lot about the new Smash game for Switch. Today we want to talk about how much content we think might be in the game from what was revealed so far, which, let's be honest, is not too much. So, Alex, I know you haven't really got a chance to voice any of your opinions about this game. Is there anything that you want to start us off with?
Well, I did a little bit, but most people thought I was just being like negative and like pessimistic. I'm like, guys, we literally didn't see anything. So from what we saw, I was initially, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is probably like, if they're presenting the Inkling, it's probably going to be a character that's on top of Smash 4, because like it's like looked like a character reveal like we've seen in the past, or we were led on that it's another game, like when Kirby was revealed or when it was Kirby and then there was like Rosalina and Luma. So I'm like, oh, it's in the vein of that. But then they were like, oh, it's a new game. So at the initial, before I saw any speculation, I was like, oh, this is probably just addition to Smash 4. Now I'm not sure because of all the, oh, it's an original game. Oh, Sakurai said it's an original game. Oh, this or that. It's like, oh, God. And then, yeah, so I kind of just want to wait till E3 or the next Direct to see what really the form comes in. And I really hope Sakurai does another Direct that encompasses the whole game. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I want to just point out, because I see this a lot, and I see this actually on major sites and people talking about this. The copyright for HAL Laboratories does not matter. It's because HAL co-created the game with Nintendo, so they co-own it. That's why they're on there. And we actually tweeted out on the Source Gaming account, if you look at the original reveal for Smash for Wii U and 3DS, at the very end, it had a copyright for HAL Laboratories and not for Namco. So I'm not saying that Namco is or is not making this game, but I'm saying that we have zero clue on who the dev team is right now. Could be anybody. Could very easily be Namco. Probably not HAL Laboratories, because they're a small studio that makes a bunch of Kirby games, and
they're
I don't
not
know
really equipped for.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have
course.
noticed this, but the game's a lot bigger now than it was in the Melee days.
Yeah, games are just not what they were, so it's much harder to build something like this, especially if it's what people say, because a lot of people are like, oh, since this is the same time period between Melee or Smash 64 and Melee, and also the time period since 2015 when they finished DLC or whatever, now they could have built a full game. It's like, do you think Sakurai is just going to jump right back into this hellhole?
I mean, it could be.
Well,
yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna think, like, it would be good to just, like, analyze the time, because I think Smash 64 took, like, a few years to make.
Right.
But it was also, a lot of that was basically, like, Sakurai and Iwata kind of just working largely by themselves for a good part of that. And it's also a somewhat small game, comparatively. Melee, is a fairly huge one by comparison, but that also was, a 13-month development period that stressed Sakurai to the breaking point and was part of the reason that he quit HAL. Brawl took, I want to say, about 2.5 years. Would that be right? It started
largely
mid-2005, I think.
Yeah.
And
it got delayed, so it appeared longer.
Yeah, and Smash 4 started in summer of, or not, possibly, I think, the summer of 2012. So that was 2.5 years.
Seems about right.
Yeah, so 2.5 years is a good development time. But even then, like, let's say it comes out in this November. It would have started in mid-2016. And that would have meant that Sakurai would have had basically a couple months after finishing a Super Smash Bros. Game to start a Super Smash Bros. Game. I don't know,
Well, we know from his tweets and from his interviews and stuff that he already had another project lined up, and that he was taking like a short break and going back to it. This had to have been the other project. So I do believe that this was probably started really soon after. So let's say early 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which would
which
give
is
us
surprising.
yeah, and that's actually some rumblings that I'd heard from people was that this started shortly after Wii U development ended. But what I don't, I mean, what nobody, I'm sure some people know, but what I don't know, and what would be interesting is if any of the planning stages of Smash Switch happened concurrently with the DLC for Smash Wii U and 3DS, because that would, I feel like, give it definitely time to be its own game, especially if he had another team, a small team working on DLC and another team working on porting over assets to the Switch. But we really don't know the timeline right now.
It would.
I believe it was last year. Sorry, that some version update of Smash for Wii U pointed towards that they were actually porting stuff away from the game. Sometime last year, that was found by people who are looking into the code. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, there was some restructuring done after.
Yeah.
I would say, it's definitely an interesting thing to look at. Did you have any opinions on that, Wolfman?
I guess because we talk about this all the time, but and actually we did talk about this right before recording started, but the notion is of how every Smash Brothers is kind of its own affair, and going into it, there's oftentimes a lot of, I guess, pre-established rules or traditions that get broken, or other ones that get established, and it's something that I don't think we've ever really had to, or not had to deal with, but dealt with, which is the idea that, maybe two Smash Brothers games are being developed concurrently.
Yeah.
It's not just, here are your Mario assets from Brawl, now we're going to make his head a little more cartoony and change some of his moves. It's, are they starting with this base game, on the level of something like Splatoon 2?
Right, because all we know, honestly, is that there is a Smash game coming out this year. I would say probably in September to coincide with online. That just seems like the logical conclusion. Right. And that it's been in development, I would say, at least a year and a half. Could be more, but I'd put it at least there. And that it is being branded and marketed as a new game. That doesn't mean that it wasn't heavily built off of Smash for Wii U. Because what we got, let's be honest, guys, we didn't get any sort of actual reveal. Yeah. We got an announcement. We got a teaser.
Exactly.
Yeah. For all we know,
yes.
For all we know, Smash Switch could be an isometric shooter because we saw no gameplay. We just saw a CGI trailer.
Yeah, we saw a CGI trailer that was this is what the game could be, and this is what get ready for it because it's coming. Just we don't even know what it's going to be yet. You don't either.
And honestly, based off of the designs of the Inklings, I would say that the character planning was done in 2016 because they used the designs from Splatoon 1.
Well, I think that...
Right.
But those are also the most iconic designs for the Inklings. So.
Exactly. Correct. I don't know if that necessarily would count.
Right.
It also copied the Splatoon 1 reveal, when they the first trailer. So that is initially what got me oh, this is Smash, because it's just the Splatoon 1, and I'm like, well, why would it be that?
And, if he's starting
a lot of people were down on our reaction for it, and we're like, well, we weren't freaking out because it was very obviously Smash.
Yeah, when you talk Smash to death, you're like, yeah, look, you can tell the animation style, the art style, and it's just, oh, Smash.
Yeah.
Wolfman?
Yeah, I was going to just also think about the Splatoon 2 thing. It's just that, if it's anything like development on Smash Wii U, Sakurai probably had a lot of access to, Nintendo's information.
Right.
And of course, we're also saying it's Sakurai is always a director, which we also don't really know.
Right. We know he's involved.
Yeah.
But we don't know for sure that he's a director. And to be honest, if this is a game where where parts of it were developed with DLC, that means he was probably just giving it an overview, and he's probably ready to be more of a conceptual director instead of a completely hands-on director, which I think would be excellent for him and his health. Both mental and physical.
For a game like this, where you finish Smash for Wii U, and if it heavily borrowed, you could have someone who okay, this is what we finished, and now we're going to take from it. I can show you the way, so when I eventually am not going to be the director, you'll have like an understanding. It would be a good way to ease someone into the development, or at least his values of designing a game like this. But who knows if they would follow through? It's just
conjecture.
Yeah.
At this point.
All of this is conjecture, really.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the Smash fan base is both the best and the worst fan base ever.
It's something. It is something.
Well, it's the best and the worst because it's like 100 franchises, or okay,
So
maybe a few
passionate.
dozen. Yeah, like it's like you have all of the Sonic fans and all of the Mario fans and all the Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
And then you have the Donkey Kong fans and the Fire Emblem fans, and they will kill each other before this is over. They will kill each other.
That's a bit of a local Discord flavor for you, Source Gaming repeat viewers. So check out.
Yeah.
Who would win, one Donkey Kong or all of Fire Emblem Heroes?
It depends on who's developing the Donkey Kong game.
I want that gun from Fire Emblem Heroes that shoots out Fire Emblem characters. I want that to be the summon gun to be an item. But it'll be filled with microtransactions. That's how they'll make it true to that game. You have to pay 50 cents every time that you want to summon a character from Fire Emblem with the gun. Very realistic. So we were talking about this before, because I guess the main thing we want to talk about is how much content we think might be in this game.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't know what this game is, so that makes it difficult.
And
Yeah.
it's also, again, worth pointing out, like, we don't know what any game is whenever these come out. Like,
Yeah, like what's Metroid Prime 4? Does it have a huge emphasis on multiplayer? Could have it. I don't know. I just know that there's a game called Metroid Prime 4 that's coming out.
Difference with Metroid, people aren't going to talk in circles about what. Well, okay, not as adamantly as maybe all the passionate Smash Brothers fans, because as soon as just the one reveal, like, if you look at Google, if you go to Google Trends and you search up Smash Bros, you'll just see a huge spike in discussion videos, anything related to Smash Brothers.
oh yeah.
And it was just a teaser, and we learned nothing.
I was looking up some online information, and I think it may have been, I forget which site it was, but they described it as basically Smash Brothers fans looking it up like the Zapruder film.
Oh man. So let's
Which is completely correct.
let's go over what I think are probably the options for what this game is.
Sure.
Yeah, good idea.
and then we'll see what we'll get from there. So either this is another standard style Smash game, meaning that this is going to be a Melee to Brawl or Brawl to Smash Wii U 3DS sort of transition. So I'd say in that case we'd probably get about I don't know, 15 to 20 newcomers and about 5 to 10 cuts, because that seems to be the sort of additions that we'd get for that.
I've got the numbers if you'd like.
Oh, you wanna? Yeah, here, Wolfman, spit out some numbers for us.
Okay, well, let's see here. Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64 had a total of 12 characters. When it went to Melee, there were no cuts, although Jigglypuff was almost cut, and there were 14 newcomers. It should also note that 6 of those newcomers, and constituting about 22% of the roster, were clones who were added late in the game, in the development. So initially, it could have possibly only been, say, something along the lines of 19 characters. So to Brawl, it goes to 26. To 41 if you count the Pokemon Trainer as 3 characters, which we do as it's 3 separate movesets. There were 5 cuts. Those being Dr. Mario, Mewtwo, Roy, Pichu, and Young Link. And
Right, which it should be noticed are almost all clones and then a Pokemon, because they always cut a Pokemon.
And so Brawl also, though, had, like I said, 18 characters, which is even more than the amount Melee had. And of them, there were no characters who you could consider fully fledged clones, like capital C clones. They were semi-clones, but Now, to Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U, there were 6 cuts. The Ice Climbers, the only cut for a character that had been in more than one game. Snake, who had lost, where Konami presume they either lost the rights to the franchise or didn't bother to renew the rights to the franchise to get access to the franchise.
Right.
Lucas, semi-clone from a fairly minor series. Squirtle and Ivysaur are part of a character who didn't really
Right. Because
Which
you
is a
could you could argue that Pokemon Trainer just became Charizard.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Wolf, who was, the last character added, who was basically added at the end of Brawl's development.
Who is a Frankenstein creation of other movesets, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh, yeah, that is one thing to note, is that I think it was Sonic's development that kind of screwed up the Brawl schedule and may have shoved Mewtwo out. And it was only later that they were able to add Jigglypuff, Toon Link, and Wolf, which is why neither of those 3 are in the Subspace Emissary.
Right.
Now, 3DS and Wii U included, also much like Brawl, it also had 18 characters, though 2 of them were clones added last minute, and 3 of those were Mii designs, which are like Wolf Frankenstein's.
Yeah.
Right.
However, the ones that aren't clones, and Alex, you had mentioned this, are
Yeah.
really some of the most inventive and exploratory and unique newcomers we've ever gotten.
Yeah,
From characters.
absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. You go on.
Yeah, because you've got characters like, say, Little Mac, who have entirely new mechanics, or Robin, or Shulk, who have entirely different kinds of moves and fighting, or Rosalina, who has like the puppet fighter character. And then afterwards, they had DLC, added 3 veterans and 4 newcomers, all of whom were at least somewhat too drastically distinct mechanically. So that brings it to a total of 22. Sakurai has talked about the danger of adding too many characters, the danger of only thinking of more characters as the only way to improve a series instead of other additions or mechanics or innovations. And yet this has actually been a series that has increased the number of characters who've been
exponentially,
added.
really.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you cut out the DLC, there's still an equal number of characters at Wii U added to the ones Brawl added.
So I would say it's probably safe to say that we won't see that many cuts. The only cuts we've ever really gotten are for a couple minor characters that are either clones or semi-clones, characters that won't work for technical reasons, like the Pokemon Trainer or like the Ice Climbers, and Snake, which is a whole other kettle of fish that could have been for a bunch of reasons involving licensing and Kojima and Konami. And I don't think it's Konami, by the way. I think it's the relationship of Kojima with Konami and Kojima with Sakurai.
Yeah, and I also think that maybe Sakurai was just thinking, we did this, we had, Snake had his fun. That's enough. I don't fully think that, but part of me kind of wonders if he only really intended Snake to appear once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at the time of Brawl, they made a big deal, it's Snake, he's appearing, and at the time when he's making it, he's not. I would assume he's not thinking of too much into the future. He's thinking about the game he's working on at that point. But I don't think he ever cuts a character just because he wants to. It's never been for that reason.
Yeah,
he wouldn't make this really well designed character, especially in the case of the Wii U newcomers or the Wii U and 3DS newcomers, and then just cut them out because other characters should take that slot, because I don't believe in the slot argument. It's kind of
it should be noted that once again, the only character that I guess can kind of go against this is Mewtwo, the only one ever. And there's never just been a cut that isn't for a reason that it's this character's a clone or a semi-clone, or there's a technical reason, or it's a third party. So I don't think they're gonna cut you see people they're gonna cut Wii Fit Trainer. They're not gonna cut Wii Fit Trainer.
I'm also going to say, when they cut Mewtwo, they presumably cut Mewtwo because Sonic threw off the development schedule.
Yes.
And so there was still Mewtwo data in there. There's still Roy and Dr. Mario data in there. Mm-hmm. Not much, but there is some.
It's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it wasn't like he just put up a Brawl development document and was just like, yeah, screw this guy.
So if this is a new game now, we do have to realize that this is a short-ish development cycle. It's not, not very. It could be up to 2 years. It could be like more of a regular development cycle, but it's a short release cycle. So I wouldn't say that especially if we were to keep most of the DLC characters, I'd say maybe 70 characters would be a good bar to reach at that point.
I believe that's like the reasonable number. If they go above and beyond, like we predicted Smash 4 and 3DS to have maybe like 50, and then that was 10 plus, so 70 to 75 is like my range. Like, and I don't even feel crazy for saying it because this last game is just, whew.
Yeah, so much. It is.
Right. Yeah, I guess 49 for Smash 4, and that's what it became if you count the Mii Fighters as one character. And then, of course, it went just way beyond that.
Yeah.
But also, I do think that if they're starting so close to development time, and since they're starting on what isn't really that different hardware, then I kind of have a really strong feeling that they would be trying to bring over as many veterans as they could.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
Like, I think there was a room for a lot of cuts in... or not room for a lot of cuts, because that's not really fair to say, but I think that assuming that this is all like one kind of massive Super Smash like schedule thing,
right?
Then
let's go on to, I guess, what the second option is. And once again, this isn't Super Smash Brothers Wii U Deluxe. Like, it can't be. I mean, Sakurai has said that it isn't. He also has said that this would be Smash 6. So if you believe Sakurai saying that this is not this is a new Smash game, then you should also believe this is Smash 6. Anyways, so it's like I said, it's being branded and marketed as a new game, which means that but that doesn't mean that it's not heavily built off of Smash 4. And once again, Smash for Wii U, Smash for 3DS was built off of Brawl. You could see that the assets were originally ported over and then modified. But I think by this we mean something that's a much more direct copy.
Yeah,
right.
And it's not HD, or you're not going through like the upping the graphical quality to HD now.
Right. What you would see is you'd see some moveset tweaks, some balance tweaks. You'd see new costumes, new characters, new stages, things like that. Some remixed content, new modes. Like, there'd be enough to definitely qualify it as a brand new game, not like as just a port, not even as as what we would think of as an enhanced port. But it'd still be something that is 70% of Smash Wii U.
Yeah, at the core of it, because what you could change to really make it feel new, debatable if they'll probably change stages. Like a Battlefield is going to look different just because every game has done that, unless they don't, which would be weird. Final Destination probably going to be its own Final Destination. All the stages, which a lot of them in Wii U and 3DS were from Brawl, so it's like, okay. And then of course the new ones, so they're going to take from that. And I believe they're going to have even more legacy stages plus whatever they add. Then it goes to the mechanics of the game, which honestly, if they kept all the movesets the same, but they tweaked values in the game of like hit values of the hit stun, all values like that, and change that across the board for all characters and the engine as a whole, it would feel like a new game no matter what you do, because that's just the essence of fighting games. Mm-hmm. And what brings you back to them is just the main mechanics of them. And then like modes, as you said, they probably just remix and add modes, which would be very beneficial to a game like this, because if it is heavily borrowed from Wii U, then there's no reason why they would have to spend time on graphics unless they really wanted to give it a different style and its own theme. They could take modes, change them up a little bit, and it would be very much... Now they can add a certain amount of polish and additional stuff, but not making it just a ultimate edition.
Right. And I think if that was the case, then I would say that there would be very minimal to no cuts.
Yeah.
Just maybe some licensing cuts. Maybe if they're really strapped for time or want to differentiate themselves, they could cut some of the clone characters or lower priority characters. But right. I would doubt it, and I would say that then I would think that we would be closer to 75 or even more characters.
Yeah.
Plus new clones.
I mean, honestly, like, clones are not a problem. They've never been a problem. But one
Yeah,
thing.
Go ahead.
This is just something I've been wondering because functionally, and this has been true, more and more. Every Smash Brothers game will draw tons of content and tons of material from its predecessors.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's especially, I think, the case this time just because Brawl had just so much content that Smash 4 really couldn't afford to not use it.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think, we'll probably see most, not necessarily all, but most of the 3DS and Wii U stages back. Or, sorry, the Wii U stages back. What do you think about 3DS stages? Do you think that, because there's actually a few stages, particularly from Brawl and Melee, like Mushroomy Kingdom or Yoshi's Island Brawl, that I really like and would like to see back.
Yeah, Corneria, man.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have those stages back, and it would feel weird, I think, that to have those be gone, and certainly to have the 3DS original stages gone. What do you think? Do you think we'll get upscaled or just original versions of those, or do you think those are gone?
I would say. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we're probably going to say the same thing. I would say they're probably going to bring back selected. Corneria they have to bring back. They have to. I don't see why they couldn't. But in terms of Brawl stages, 3DS stages, I think maybe not all, but popular ones, iconic ones, and ones maybe that they could give an overhaul. Because why not?
I wonder if they'll bring back some Brawls and Melee stages that just have never come back. Just how when they brought back. Well, they brought Pirate Ship back as DLC. I'm talking more Frigate Orphean. Yes. I'm talking Fourside. I'm talking Princess Peach's Castle from Melee.
Yeah.
Because they kind of did that by bringing back the Melee cuts, and they kind of did that by bringing the N64 stages that had been cut back as DLC. Hey, this is stuff that's... So we might see some stages cut, maybe even previous Melee and Brawl stages, but we might see older ones brought back to kind of keep it fresh,
I think that... I think part of the reason why they'd want to keep stages more than just kind of get rid of them for the case of overhauling is that a lot of those stages represent very iconic or important or well-liked games.
And I also think that there's certain 3DS stages that, it's an interesting thing because Smash Wii U was the arena, right? And then Smash 3DS was a personal experience, and the stages reflected that. Now we have a hybrid console that's both. So... personal only stages, like the 3DS stages that had personal data on them, Find Me,
or
Pac
Golden
Maze,
Plains,
or Golden Plains.
But those could also be very easily reworked. Golden Plains, all you'd really need.
I think if Pac-Man comes back, they need to have Pac Maze.
Yeah,
in some form.
Right.
But then also the giant stages, can you imagine trying to play Great Cave Offensive on your Switch in portable mode?
I mean, no, but but at the same time, I don't know. I think I feel like he would try to include it anyway.
I mean, yeah. The thing is, I definitely think 8-player Smash is coming back, but the stages that are that big and unwieldy, I don't know if I would, because everything has to work in both handheld and TV mode.
You do realize this means that if that happens, then Temple is getting cut.
No, because I'm saying unwieldy stages.
But
I played Temple on my Wii U gamepad. You can deal with Temple.
Sure.
Not Palutena's Temple.
No.
Though.
Oh yeah.
That's if you're at both of the furthest corners of that stage, it's crazy. It's so you need a big screen.
It is such a bad stage, but I kind of love it.
Oh, I love it too, and I like Great Cave Offensive. I don't think they're good stages, but I like that they're imaginative stages. And
yeah, I like that they're there.
And
but
to be honest,
I wouldn't play on them.
There's a lot of times where imaginative stages are more interesting to me.
Yeah,
I would say Palutena's Temple actually, and I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things to do is when one of my friends comes over and it's just the two of us. I'm like, okay, we'll do team matches. It'll be us two versus 6 level 9 CPUs. On Palutena's Temple, and we're just gonna kite them around and knock them off and just screw around with them because they're CPUs and they chase you no matter what on this giant stupid stage.
Yeah, and that's something that that's something that you can't really realistically get from other stages, and that's a fun new kind of stage, and I don't want to lose that.
So what? We didn't actually look it up. What was what's the number of stages in?
Ooh, you're gonna hear some number clinking on my.
Why you look that up?
Yeah.
Because I
So,
would say
my
that,
apologies, listeners.
because I feel like the stage increase, and I might be wrong, from Brawl to Smash Wii U wasn't that great.
It probably wasn't just because.
But I feel like if you added all of the unique stages from 3DS and Smash Wii U, it's a much larger number. So that might be the number that we should be thinking of. So we might get something like ridiculous, like 80 stages, because when you add everything up, that's probably what a natural increase would be, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
While you look that up, let me just bring up, because I was talking, there's another option that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and honestly, I don't really think this is it. And a lot of people that are talking about it being a ground up thing too talk about things like, oh, but Link is right-handed now, and I'm like, yeah, you can mirror animations, and he could literally be the same character.
Or he could just be a new character, and I mean that's my idea, and they'll just have 3 Links, or they'll get rid of Twilight Princess Link. But I really think there should be a Link in like the tunic still. Mm-hmm. But
they should have made it Linkle, man. Then we could have had Linkle.
Yeah, Linko.
That'd be great. So I don't have like a perfect number, but here's some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Smash 1, there are 8 stages and a 9th unlockable stage, Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay.
In Melee, there were 29 stages, and 3 of which were past stages. Yoshi's Island, Congo Jungle, and Dreamland 64. The latter 2, of course, returning in Smash Wii U. In Brawl, there were 41 stages, and 10 of those were original Melee stages. So that's 31 new to 10 old, and then 26 new to 3 old, and then Smash. There are 82 stages across both of the games, but it's a little hard to kind of figure out which is which.
And which are repeated. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and to be honest, it seems like you'd think that it's bad just because there's so many Brawl and Melee stages in there, but it's actually, I think, a lot better than you might expect, because
I've always said that, and once again, we're working off of the Source Gaming assumption that Smash 4 and 5 are different games. I feel like both of them kind of feel like empty experiences because they're like just one. They should have been one game.
I think that it was. I think
you would have
Smash...
had 82 stages, which is a huge increase over 41, double. Although, let's think about it. Gower Plains, Mega Man, Wily Castle, Battlefield, and Final Destination. Are there any other ones that are doubled? Those are the
yes. Sorry, I may have misheard. Yeah, there's a few. There's the ones that are staged are Battlefield, Final Destination, Boxing Ring, Gower Plains, Wily Castle, and then of course almost every DLC stage. Super Mario Maker, Duck Hunt was added for free. Suzaku Castle, Midgar, the Umber Clock Tower, and then Peach's Castle, Hyrule Castle, and Dreamland 64.
So 13. So that would take us to 79. So we'll say there's a total of 69 stages if that was one game. Which, once again, from 41 is a sizable increase. That's 28 new stages.
I mean, I think the thing is that, is that Smash 3DS was functionally an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it really was an experiment that worked, but I also think it was an experiment that had interesting ideas. And, now that we are fundamentally getting another, I'm certain will be a much more successful portable experience for Smash, is that I think it's worth kind of doing that to see, how it worked. Anyway, I'm gonna... Because 3D Land, Golden... Okay, you guys keep talking. I'll try to find the right number.
So I was saying. So let's just say there's around 70 stages. Okay, we don't need an exact number. So I would say that a natural increase would be about 80 to 85 stages total.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
And honestly, there are a lot of considering it came out in 2014 and DLC went for a year after that, there were a lot of games that came out in that time period, and like with new stages in all franchises, both in Smash and ones that haven't been represented yet.
Right, like if we don't get a Xenoblade Chronicles X character, like give us a stage. That was the best part of that game, anyways. Was the just how beautiful some of the scenery looked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would love to see that. I think, and the funny part is, even though it wouldn't be a huge increase from like 70 to 80, it would seem like a huge increase because we would have access to all of the stages on one platform.
Exactly. And even if they don't bring back all of them, let's say, because they didn't do that with Brawl stages.
Right.
Let's say they don't bring back all of them, maybe some of the less popular ones, or the less like technically like impressive ones, perhaps, maybe like the F-Zero or I like them, but
I was thinking F-Zero the entire time.
They do something along those lines, or stages that are essentially the same, like you wouldn't bring Mute City and then Port Town Aero Dive or something along those lines. It would be sizable, and there'd be a lot of stages, plus whatever they add as DLC, because we can almost expect for sure that they're going to have ongoing DLC.
Right, and there would be a better stage list for competitive Smash, too, because even if you just added the 3DS stages, you'd have Yoshi's Island Brawl and Prism Tower. Yeah. Just adding those two, like not even talking about anything else, would add a lot to the current, I feel like, stage meta for competitive Smash on Wii U.
Well, that's another discussion in and of itself. Just like how that meta is going to even like, is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? Is everyone going to drop the Wii U version? It's like, oh man, that's a headache for tournament organizers, especially since they plan tournaments up till then. It's like, oh.
Well, I mean, once again, for all we know, this could be Super Smash Brothers Wave Dash, and it's just all about wave. We don't know anything about this game, guys.
Yeah, we're going. Oh man.
I do have the new. I do have some of the updated information.
All right, give it to us.
Okay, for the 3DS, there were about 20 new stages and 9 returning stages. For the Wii U version, there's about 24 returning stages and 18 earlier stages. And of course, they both shared 3 old stages and 10 new stages. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like. The thing is, though, is it's really hard to fit. Is that I don't know if you can just say, like, you just stuff them together and it's just Smash for Wii U. Like, I don't necessarily like if Smash 3DS doesn't exist, then Smash 3DU might have looked totally different. We may have not gotten the 82 stage list.
Right, but we're talking about amount of content now, and I would say if this was just a regular Smash cycle, which it could be, if this was just, although it seems really it seems kind of unlikely to me that this is going to be just like a regular
thing. Yeah.
Because of the circumstances are a little different. But if it was, then it wouldn't be unreasonable to say, well, the last game had between 60 and 70 stages pre-DLC. So this game pre-DLC 70 to 80.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Certainly,
I don't think that's far off.
Yeah.
And like I said, it'll feel huge. Because this will be the first game to have that many. Because how many stages right now did you say were playable on Wii U?
Let's see.
Just Wii U.
Just on Wii U, it should be it's for about something around 40, about 55, I think.
Right. So if you got like 70 to 80, it would seem like a huge increase.
Yeah.
But part of that's the illusion of the fact that those stages were on both that took resources to be on both would now all be on one. And yeah, I mean, as far as other content go, I couldn't really say as far as modes or anything. Who knows? I do want to bring up, because I was saying before, the other option that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, and I don't really see this happening, but it's something just to discuss, is if this did have less development time and they just really wanted to get it out with online this year, I could see, and also this was a complete revamp. And what I mean by that is people talk about Breath of the Wild Link, and I'm like, no, he's completely new move list. And Mario, based off Odyssey, completely new move list. Samus, based off Metroid Prime 4, built from the ground up, completely different. Like, really redoing it. Much like Alax, you said, like a 30 characters would be.
Yeah, this has been my theory, and I've been one of the few, maybe well, I guess not Smash tubers anymore as much. One of the few personalities that have just been spitting it out. A lot of people don't like the idea at all. Like, they'll hear me out, they're like, yeah, not a good idea. I'm like, yeah, I can understand that, but this is like, if they revamped all these old characters to be like represented properly, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, but I don't think they're going to do the 30 character thing. I do believe they're going to do DLC to like pad out more of the game, but
Right.
maybe not to like, oh, we're only going to release 30 characters. We didn't have time. This is a totally new game.
Yeah,
What I could think is if they did do a totally new game, like you were saying, that and did release it with less characters, and we could see maybe a Splatoon or ARM style release cycle where, hey, we're only giving you 25, 30 characters to start, but we're going to keep releasing stuff over the next year or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and do you think like, and by the end, what would it just sort of like seem like that kind of like not exponential, but that like Wii U plus 20 character roster, would that?
I don't know. I don't know if they completely redo it if we're ever going to get to quite that roster, but I would say, 50 to 60 is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, the whole thing that keeps going through my head is that like this doesn't feel at all like a normal Smash cycle. And to be totally honest, I'm not sure how standard what we could really call something a normal Smash cycle.
That's true.
Like, is it just?
I think
because that's basically just the development of Brawl and Wii U. That's not really the cycle that people really saw when Melee came out. That's obviously no one really paid attention to it when Smash 64 came out.
Right.
So, I'm not sure if it's not like two games really makes it trend breaking, I guess.
Yeah, and there's so few to base a conclusion off of, and especially since the last two, they were developed essentially same core engine, but for two different consoles, meaning they had to split development for both of those. This is only one now, so how would that change the time? And I mean, there's different factors for each. Like Brawl had Subspace Emissary that ate up a lot of its time and resources. But what's this game going to have that's going to set it apart? That's going to be the thing? Or is Sakurai just going to say, yep, I'm just going to load this game right up with content?
But that doesn't seem really like him. Like, I think...
Yeah.
And I would... certainly I would hope there is more, than just characters and stages. But...
it's just... The thing is, too, like, the turnaround time between reveal and release... It's kind of crazy. It's less than
it's insane.
I like it. It's normal. I like it because I'm not gonna have to wait forever. Like
you're not gonna have to do a video every day that there's a picture and be all like, "This is a picture."
Yeah.
Probably doesn't mean anything, but let's read way too much into it.
Those were the dark days. Brawl was pretty dark too. It's like, okay, we're gonna show you a trailer at E3 and it's gonna come out the same year.
We don't know. It's
like
a
regular
E3.
game.
I mean, it will, but.
It would be weird if E3 wasn't like the big game because
the way I see it is like from I don't know Nintendo's business standpoint that this game will be the game of their year, similar to how Odyssey was, and they kept advertising it throughout the whole year, and they set up events based around this game for the whole year up until its release, like they did with Odyssey. Breath of the Wild kind of just came out with the console to sell the console.
Well, they also did it at E3. They had the only Breath of the Wild. Actually, now that I think about it, that's a really interesting tweak to their to how they normally do directs, which I really like. Just as an aside, I do not care for the gross visually oppressive E3 weirdo presentation.
Yeah. That's a mark of the 2000 age, 2000.
Yeah, you know what?
Age.
And I think that's actually something I like more about Nintendo, and maybe why this reveal kind of threw me off a little bit. I feel like Nintendo always tries to put some gameplay in all of their reveals.
Oh, they do.
And I feel like CGI trailers are something that other companies do. Everyone lost their mind for Death Stranding at E3 2 years ago.
Right.
And I'm all like, what the hell is this game? I know nothing about this game. This is a pretentious art house film. Why is this a game?
I'm on that boat with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I like seeing gameplay. If you're telling me new Smash, I'm like, okay, this is better than when they said before Smash. I forget which one it was. Was it before Brawl? They're like, yeah, we're making it.
No, Smash Wii U the year before.
We're making it. Woohoo! U.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
year
also
before Smash Wii U and Smash 3DS, the big reveal, I guess was 2013.
Yeah.
Iwata just came out and said, also, we're making a Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U. Sakurai's on it. That's all.
And then we waited a year, and then
there was real
it
gameplay
went-
footage in the Brawl trailer. Like, I know we all kind of remember just the CGI stuff, but there was a lot of gameplay footage there. There was a lot of gameplay footage for the Wii U version. I was about to call it for the Super Nintendo version. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Because I think that's
man,
the
Mike.
version we all actually want.
And that trailer at E3 came out 2013. Is that right?
Yes,
Or am I
E3
wrong?
2013 was the Villager trailer. Then later during the presentation, they showed the Mega Man and Wii Fit Trainer ones.
Right.
And then we went through a whole year of every now and then we got a character trailer reveal, and then next E3 we got more information, and that's when Pac-Man was revealed.
So, well,
Yeah.
sort of, because what they did was they got the main trailer out of the way, and then they did, they introduced, a few veterans, Bowser, Zelda, Peach,
Right.
and, then Rosalina, then Little Mac. Then they did the April 8th Smash Direct, which had, Yoshi, Sheik,
Oh, that's right.
Zero Suit Samus, Charizard, and then Greninja. And then they did the E3 where they had Pac-Man, Palutena, and the Mii Fighters. And then as it went on, they just kind of slowly ramped up with Meta Knight and with the other characters like Robin and Shulk and Lucina. So there was a fairly steady, and I think the same thing happened with Brawl too. There was a fairly steady release of information that was kind of like a drip feed, but still.
Yep. So I'm welcoming this with open arms. If we get no information and I can actually get the game and be like, man, I want to see what's in this game instead of already knowing all of it. Maybe that's a problem of actually doing speculation, because with between the ESRB leaks and the trailers and overanalyzing the
And I
trailers
was so
and-
upset when Brawl came out because I had hyped myself up for all these characters that weren't going to be in it. And then I'm all like, screw you, Rob. You're not Ridley.
Yeah.
Yeah, the that's kind of what happened a little bit with. That's kind of a big part of why I don't really have a lot of I don't put I know sometimes I'm a little more or less supportive of one character or another, and people who talk to me on our Discord page or talk to me in the staff chat know this, but in general, my philosophy is very much whatever happens, I'm just excited to see a new character, even in some cases, especially if it's not someone I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Because the character when the lead up to Brawl, the character I wanted most was Meta Knight. He was the first revealed newcomer. He, of course, was good to the point of being broken. I also had other characters I wanted. I wanted Lucario and the Link from Wind Waker, and of course, they're in that one. And so I was really happy. The only character I was really aggressive, I really, really, really wanted in for was Paper Mario, and that didn't happen, but I'm okay with that.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because, I never even considered that Greninja, who is now my favorite Smash Brothers character, would ever be included in a Smash Brothers game. I wasn't just oh, would it be cool if Greninja was in there? I just
Yeah, no one really thought, which was I welcomed with open arms, for sure, because it was really cool. Which, oh man,
yeah,
they could do that. They could do that for this one now. Oh man,
Well,
I didn't even think of it.
how unique and interesting is Villager? And he was on a lot of people's lists, but he was never that high,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the way they brought him to life was wow, this is an interesting character. And we also had misconstrued information where it's oh yeah, I don't consider them a fighter, and then they became a fighter.
Well, it's also things change, and or a good example. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Bowser Jr. Because people were oh, he can be unique because he has a paintbrush, and it's
yeah,
well, what does that mean? But then
there's all these preconceived notions the Smash community has, and then Sakurai's yeah, no, he's in a clown car, and also the Koopalings.
Yeah, it's this drastically unique, and also another unique character because he takes damage differently. And so you have this idea of these characters, that's I think what's really exciting about I guess the Smash cycle is realizing that characters like Rosalina can totally be in the game. Characters like Robin can just completely blow out what you expect the Fire Emblem character to be.
Yeah, I believe in this last Smash game. Now I have no idea what they can do, and that makes me happy because before we were also like, oh, what could they do? What could they do? It's like they could literally do whatever they want. And right now, since maybe only Paper Mario is the only character I'd want, but I don't really care who they add because I know they're going to give them a unique like character design and idea, and that's going to stretch an archetype around, and that's always interesting to see to me than some flavor of the month character that I'm begging for. I guess I'm kind of over it because there's been so many in Smash, Wii U, and 3DS that it's like now you can surprise me with anything. It's just going to be cool no matter what you do.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, stuff like big like audiences arguing for Ridley or K. Rool aren't really as interesting to me. And I say that as someone who
Ridley
doesn't like
is
that.
still like in my heart my most wanted, but I've also let it go.
Yeah,
maybe Metroid 4 will make him a humanoid character, so now he can be in, and he has a sword.
I just want another Metroid character. Like, just give me Silex or something.
but that's the thing. Like, I don't think like I get that.
Yeah, you don't want
but
representation. Yeah, like I get what you're saying. That what you want is interesting characters, and like Wii Fit Trainer even is like out of nowhere, but is actually super fun to play as.
And she also represents a lot of really cool different ideas because she represents like this whole like the Wii era of Nintendo's like history. She represents like fitness games.
Which is why I think when people think she's going to be cut, I'm like, that's like cutting Rob. She's, even if they never touch anything with Wii Fit or fitness again, she represents one of the most successful times in Nintendo history. She represents kind of the expanded market that they were going for, fitness gaming, which not just for Nintendo, but that was huge. For like, you'd get it for Kinect, for Move, you'd get like a million different games that had that. So it's like part of Nintendo history, part of gaming history, really, which is...
And Smash itself is a library of Nintendo and particularly Nintendo and Japanese gaming history.
Right. It's a celebration. It was funny. I was watching Maximilian Dude's video talking about what his thoughts on the Smash reveal, and he used a term that I hadn't heard before, and I'm like, that's perfect. He's all like, Smash Brothers is like the Disneyland of fighting games, and I'm like,
yeah,
it is.
It so is. Oh man.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
Really...
That is a perfect way to put it. Because it really is. It's just like all these magical things that are put together, and then you never could have seen it happen, and now it's happening. It's like, this is crazy. I know I felt that way with like Melee and Brawl.
Yeah,
like,
makes you feel like a kid. You're like, oh, look at all this awesome stuff, and
that's why it's cool to have there's that experience of like, your parent comes home and like gets you a rented game. I know that doesn't really happen so much anymore.
Yeah.
But like the notion of like,
but this used to be a thing, so go with this.
Yeah, or not even just that, but like the notion of like you go on like a film site and you just find some bizarre thing that you had never seen before, never heard of before, but it's like really exciting, and so you're just like get to pour over it. And I feel like one of the things we talk about in Smash is who's an icon, but by this point we've kind of hit a lot of the icons. So it's almost like
that's one of the most exciting things about this upcoming Smash is that there aren't many Nintendo All-Stars left. There aren't many third-party like gaming icons that would fit into the world of Smash left, So speculation's wide open. Like as far as first-party games go, like I don't know, like maybe some more Donkey Kong characters make sense.
Dixie works, and not to mention that now, because like Smash, was made with the kind of knowledge that the most recent Donkey Kong game was Country Returns. And
and I would argue that we still need some sort of Toad. But as far as like Nintendo All-Stars go, they're pretty much all there,
Yeah, they've got everyone. They could add maybe Toad. They could add, like you said, but there's only, and then when you add maybe like the new characters like Inkling,
Springman,
Xenoblade, Springman, Wonderful 101 maybe, then like who else? Like
you're open. You could. It gives Sakurai and the team like a chance to like take a deep dive and be all like, I don't know, Devil from Devil World. Who cares? Like just whatever. Just throw it out there. Yeah.
Even like other console characters like Crash if he's coming to the Switch.
I've
heard people talking about that, which could be really fun and really cool. It definitely could happen.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up I think a little soon. It's been going on for a while, but I do want to bring up.
We've been going.
Yeah, we've been going, guys. This is for you. This is for the fans. It's for the fans, fam. So I will say that how there was that poll between Melee and between 64 and Melee. If there was a Melee too. Have you seen? I'll look it up real quick so I get the exact
It's
information.
weird. Like, they have Lugia on there, they have James Bond on there.
Yeah, it was a different time, like a way different time.
But
It was way different.
if you look at the third party characters, okay, I found it. If you look at the third party characters, most of them are in some way or another, or like an anime character. Because number one is Chocobo, who got a spotlight as a costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number two is Doraemon, which is like an anime character. So number three is Bomberman.
I know.
Number four is Crash Bandicoot, and number 5 and 6 are Sonic and Mega Man.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm still not really sure about Crash, just because, like, and this is just me being biased, and I'll be.
And Mega Man uses the Crash Bomb, so clearly that's precedence for Crash and Bomberman to be in. I mean, think about it.
I know what I'm about to say is like entirely biased, and pretty much, and I'll own that. But like, to me, just part of the issue with Crash, and to a lesser extent Spyro, because he was able to kind of rebrand himself a bit in a way Crash just never did, is that they're really emblematic of this kind of not really pre-Mario 64 era, but this like
they're poochies.
Yeah, they're poochies. They're not quite on the level
Very
of
90s.
they're not quite on the level of say Bubsy the Bobcat, but they're like Crash. I was thinking about this because like a lot of the design in those early Crash games they're not really they don't really explore 3D environments that much. They're very based on like kind of what even at the time was pretty outdated like trial and error gameplay. And it just feels kind of weird, like Mario 64 fundamental, like these were basically dealing with problems that Mario 64 had already solved. I don't know, maybe it's just me feeling weird about it.
I mean, it is very 90s. It is very indicative of that time, but it's also they're also important games from that area, very popular, sold a lot, and people love them. So
Okay. Well, that's the other one thing is that I did a. I'm not going to do this because, to be honest, it would take too much time. But you know that how in the Smash Bros. All-Star mode.
Yeah.
One time, just as a little like experiment, I basically just put every character that had ever been in a Smash game into it, like to see how that would fit.
I see.
And what I found was that for some reason, the entire like Smash Brothers history, at least for characters, because I didn't really do this with stages because that was too confusing and I was lazy. Was that Smash Brothers is actually very, very, very heavily biased towards, more than anything else, the late Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 period.
Right, because those were the best.
No, what I mean by that is that, like, because, like...
Well, you have all the Pokemon, you have the 3D Zelda.
Yeah, you have 3D Zeldas.
You have Cloud now.
Yeah.
Well, we need something from the 2000s. We need Odama. That's what we need.
I mean, I would be down
That's
with
why
that.
I'm so like Bomberman is one of the only possible characters.
Yeah.
That would be part of that first group with like Pac-Man,
Right.
Mario, because he came out in '83.
Yeah, no, I really like the idea of bringing in Bomberman for that reason.
I honestly think this is the Smash to do it because they like the last one they showed us. Yeah, we're just gonna unload all the third parties. So why not we just get every dream character in here?
I mean, why not? Honestly, like I get the concern about like them kind of like subsuming Smash being like subsumed in a wave of third parties, but like. Those characters are.
There's so many Nintendo characters in there now.
Yeah, like Mega Man is functionally a Nintendo character.
Yeah.
Like it does. Like
Poor guy.
No one will ever not associate him with the NES.
Right. Exactly. And the Switch is the perfect console now. Like to have all this content on it, and to really just blow consumers' expectations out the water. Especially since now more Switch owners than Wii U owners, and that whole debacle.
Yeah, I'd love more 8-bit games, gaming love. Like, just, I don't know, Takamaru, Simon Belmont, I'm always a fan of.
I actually think... I'm not going to, like, put any kind of bet or money down on this because, like, who the hell knows by this point. But I think that... I feel like it makes sense.
It could literally be the Melee... It could literally be Melee HD with Inklings. We don't know. That could...
Yeah, we really don't.
It could be, like... like the entire game might not even be a fighting game. It could just be like an RPG sequel to the Subspace Emissary.
It could be a dating sim.
But all of those ideas sound good.
I hope they have a dating sim side game. That'd be great.
Yeah,
That's what Sakurai introduced in this one to make it different.
that would actually be great for bringing in the Undertale characters.
Yes, that's what we need.
I actually
I'm
would
so
be
ready.
But I would be super happy with that. But I'd be happy with everything.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna top that in any conversation we have. So we should probably
Yeah, we
just
should
end
wrap it up.
Do you have any final thoughts there, Alex?
Nope. I'm. Although I may seem like I'm not excited, I'm pretty excited since we don't know exactly what it is yet. I just don't want to get too caught up in one teaser. And I don't like people telling other people they're wrong and that this is the fact, because the fact is nobody knows for sure.
Yep. How about you, Wolfman?
Just make sure to play the Undertale dating sim music while you're closing up this podcast. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know. I just think that actually, I'll say one thing, and this is me. I know getting on a soapbox, but if your favorite character doesn't get included, it's okay. If your favorite game doesn't get referenced, it's okay. The thing with Smash is that it's constantly changing and never really fully ending. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be like, I understand being like upset with a character you may not like or a character you don't think is interesting, but every character is someone's favorite, and every character adds something.
Right.
And
so don't say to cut Roy, because damn it, I like Roy, man. Come on.
There
guys.
is not a single character in that series who no one likes. My dad likes Dark Pit. My dad's favorite character to play is Dark Pit.
Yeah, no matter like your own feelings, like there's always going to be a character that everyone likes, and there's no point to get rid of anybody, and they don't take up space if they can just add them in.
Right. I can understand if they're redoing things and there's going to be cuts and this and that, then
Right.
maybe you'd want certain characters in more than others. But I mean, as it is, it's not like just to cut it out of spite.
Yeah. Smash is a celebration. Spite has no place.
Right. It's a theme park. We talked about it. I mean,
Save that for Mario Kart. Or sorry, for Mario Party.
A wise man once said that if a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place to live. So just
Yeah, but that dude also eats, like, what was that, half pepperoni pesto pizza?
Listen, we're not going to get into a Tommy Wiseau conversation. All right, guys, this is David from David. Well, that's who I am. I'm Spazzy. David, it's me. You are Wolfman. We're both at Source Gaming. You can find us there on this very YouTube channel. Alax, give them some information where they can find you.
You can find me at Relax Alax everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere you want to find me talking out my mouth with words, possibly. That's where you can go. Usually it's about stuff. It's probably going to be about Smash for this year since, you can't hide where you've come from. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe some Overwatch,
Yeah. Get back into that.
All right, later, guys.